Hey, welcome into The Snap. Your boys, Mack and Landon, back here to talk to you about Week 2 Thursday Night Football preview between the Chiefs and the Chargers. Also to talk about some news, some notes, maybe get some trade questions going, some what to do with questions going. We're going to talk a little Mike Williams. Basically anything that you guys want or need from us, you can get an answer at the end of the show. So feel free to put your comments in the comments and we'll get to them at some point. Lando, what's going on, man?
Yo, Mac, I'm doing excellent. We're here talking about some Thursday Night Football. I'm excited. We need Week 2. And Week 1 was so much fun, wasn't it? We got to have some headaches, some panic attacks. We got to see some big plays for some great players. Man, the Snap is off to a great start. Welcome to all the new subscribers, members. We're here for you all season long. We like we said before, we answer every single comment. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions about Thursday Night Football or reactions to Thursday Night Football. Start sit questions. We'll give you some rankings today. We'll talk about some really key people. So let us know who you want to see in the next What to Do With segment, because those are going to be coming out every single week on really interesting players that either performed really well that you didn't expect or really did not perform well at all. So we'll give you the best possible advice we can to help you win those fantasy titles.
That's what it's all about, man. And we got a good group of people growing. We're up to about 150 in the Discord. So if you want to join that Discord, give us a shout in the comments and we'll drop that Discord link to you. Let's get to some good news before we get into what to do with Mike Williams, Thursday night preview, and eventually your questions. J.K. Dobbins, big step in practice today, was a full participant. He's looking like he's trending for Week 2. Crazy that Kenyon Drake had the majority of the carries here for the Ravens. Mike Davis was basically a ghost. And now J.K. Dobbins really asserts himself here and just is going to take over. It looks like he's going to get the full workload, the keys to the backfield. No Gus Edwards at this point. So things for J.K. Dobbins are looking up.
Yeah, trending in the right direction. I'm not sure if I'm expecting him to play this week, but I still really like this for JK. And if we get him back the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be happy. And that will completely change a lot of your fantasy teams. A guy that is on a good team, a run-first offense, and that should project to score a lot of fantasy points. So maybe this is the time to start making trade offers for JK Dobbins if he does indeed miss this week.
Yeah, I think you could get out ahead of it. You could try to get him. Which would be
even though we got good news today, maybe not trade offer right this second, but if he is declared out this week, then you start knocking on the door of the owner.
Did you see that our guy Marlon Mack was signed to another practice squad?
Yeah, the 49ers makes sense with Elijah Mitchell going on IR. So we need to talk about the biggest waiver wire ad of the week, Jeff Wilson, and really what you're expecting from him this week. What to do with Jeff Wilson? Are you starting him? You probably need him. If you have Elijah Mitchell and you grab Jeff Wilson, are you starting him with confidence? Do you expect him to be a top 12-ish, 12 or top 20, we'll say, running back? Do you expect
12, I would sell that.
TDP to get in there with some work, or Mason as well? Is it going to be a RBBC? What are you expecting from the 49ers backfield?
Yeah, top 12 is a definite no, but top 20 is in the realm of possibilities. The only reason I temper expectations for Jeff Wilson is because of Deebo Samuel and Trey Lance. We saw once Elijah Mitchell left the game, 9 carries for Jeff Wilson, 6 for Deebo. So it was not as big of a share for Jeff Wilson as you would have liked. And then Trey Lance, you factor in, he had 13 rushing attempts on the day, and this was a slosh fest. It was really, really messy, but at the end of the day, Jeff Wilson will be the primary ball carrier, but I do still think that Lance and Deebo cut into his potential ceiling, and for that reason, I'm willing to have Jeff Wilson on my team because Elijah Mitchell, it looks like he's going to be out for 8 to 10 weeks. Like, this is a guy you're not going to have until the fantasy playoffs, most likely. So To have Jeff Wilson, a good thing. To take a shot on a TDP, Tyrion Davis Price, to get a hold of Jordan Mason, for example, also not bad pieces to have because we know what Shanahan does, but not super bullish on Jeff Wilson, but a piece that I would stream in a pinch.
Yeah, for sure. If you have bench spots to spare, I like TDP. I've liked him all season. I took him late in rookie drafts. You get him for free right now on the waiver wire. Just like Max said, it's one of those backfields that is very productive, and we're not really sure who's going to get the full workload. The hot hand approach remains, I think, with Shanahan. So it's a good matchup against Seattle as well. Jeff Wilson or Darrell Henderson? Who would you start, Mac?
Darrell Henderson.
Okay, versus Atlanta should be a great matchup as well.
Yeah, had an interesting. I mean, I asked the Fantasy Whisperers last night on their live stream. They had a really good debate about it. I've seen this comment or question in the Discord several times. If you're Cam Akers owner and Darrell Henderson is sitting on your waiver wire for whatever reason, he's owned in about, I think in the waiver video, I said 73% of leagues, definitely more after yesterday. But if he was sitting there, hypothetically speaking, would you drop Cam Akers for Darrell Henderson at this point in time?
Probably not. I still have some hope for Cam Akers. I think the most likely scenario is going to be more of a 50-50 split. I don't expect that Henderson will keep getting the lion's share of the workload this week. Probably. There's no reason for me to think that Cam Akers is all of a sudden going to get more work than Darrell. But like slowly but surely along the season, it's going to be more of a RBBC, which is I don't want either then right now, right? So that for me, that is sell Darrell Henderson high, especially if he has a good week against Atlanta. And then if you do have Cam Akers, you got to hold him until he really shows out. It could happen this week against Atlanta. They have touchdown upside. Maybe he gets in the end zone, say like 60 yards in a touchdown. Great. Now's your chance to sell Cam Akers, and maybe Darrell has 80 and 30 yards through the air or something like that. I don't know what's going to happen this week, but it's a really good matchup anyways. Maybe it's a chance like Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon where they're both are productive, but I'm just not going to rely on that productivity for the entire season. So against a plus matchup against Atlanta, I'm going to try to sell both of them if they have a good game.
I would be willing to drop Cam Akers for Darrell Henderson for the foreseeable future. And the reason I say that is a couple things. It's not like Cam Akers had double-digit touches. He was involved for 3. He had 3 carries. The one, he caught the ball 12 yards behind the line of scrimmage, actually made a good move to get back to it, but did no favors there. Missed a block, which got blown up on Twitter. He got exposed for that. But when you're looking at a 16% snap share versus an 81% snap share for Darrell Henderson, that doesn't correct itself in a week. That's something to me that takes time. A 14% opportunity share, super low. The team as a whole, now I'll give them a pass. This should change, hopefully in the positive direction, but against the Buffalo Bills, we're only able to run 19 rushing plays. That's bottom 6 in the league. And historically speaking, in the McVay era, they've been a pretty good team at running the football. If you think back to when Cam Akers kind of popped in his rookie season, he was gaining positive yardage before contact because the offensive line was able to just push so many people out of the way for him. Definitely not the case this year. He was met in the backfield on all 3 of his touches. So Cam Akers, somebody I would be willing to replace with Darrell Henderson as of right now. It sucks to say, but
would you just drop him? Would you have dropped him for Jeff Wilson?
No.
So it's that specific scenario.
Specific scenario, yeah. It's like, would you drop, like if the Akers Henderson situation played out the same way in Dallas, where Pollard came out and dominated Zeke 80-20 in snap share, would you drop Zeke for Pollard? The answer is probably no. But we factor in with Cam Akers the Achilles injury as well, and he's never really looked the same. You start to ask yourself questions. Is this guy still capable of producing at a high level? So interesting conversation to have.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as a rule, and I mean, our Acres video has done super well, and thanks everyone for watching and
Mhm.
subscribing and asking all your questions. It's been
Cheers.
great. I'm willing to. I'm not gonna start Cam Akers this week. I'm willing to hold him if I had him and I blew a third, fourth round draft pick on him.
Mhm.
I'm gonna wait and see. You can't. I wouldn't be selling at the rock bottom. I wouldn't be dropping him yet. I still think there's upside. It's a really tough matchup versus Buffalo, so I think I do give a pass, and I think he does have upside. Interesting note: Achilles injury. James Robinson came back and
Yeah.
looked great, and Sterling Shepard Achilles injury. He came back and looked great as well. So the magic of modern medicine is really showing that these guys can come back and play at a high level. And so there's hope for the Achilles injury with the Cam Akers too.
Definitely not. Definitely not as bad as the MCL, ACL. Those things just don't even matter anymore. The guys bounce
Yeah.
back from those. Odell's about to do it 3 times.
Yeah,
The
seriously.
Achilles is getting a little
Yeah.
better. DeAndre Swift did not practice today due to an ankle injury. I don't think that'll keep him out of the contest, but it's one situation that we will monitor for week 2. No practice from George Kittle again. That's definitely not great news considering he missed last week's game. So that is a situation that you're going to have to monitor. If you
Yeah.
picked up a Gerald Everett or a Robert Tonyan last week, you're probably going to have to rely on those pieces again as a Kittle owner, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sirens are
Um,
going off for Kittle right now. It's not good.
and definitely not good. There was one other piece that I wanted to bring up. Kenneth Walker, we need to monitor his status as well. He did not play on Monday. I don't think he plays again this week, but we'll monitor. And then Najee Harris was expected to miss 2 to 4 weeks, but now it looks like with negative tests coming back that he's actually going to attempt to play this week, which is crazy. But Jaylen Warren, keep your eye on him in your leagues. He might be a popular ad next week if he wasn't this week, if he does play. So Jaylen Warren, keep your eyes on him. And I guess we'll move to the Thursday night football game between the Chiefs and the Chargers. Going to be fireworks, Lando.
I am excited. It is a 54-point over under. The Chiefs are favored by 4 points. Both teams coming off big victories. The Chiefs looked phenomenal. Patrick Mahomes throwing 5 touchdowns. And I mean, Justin Herbert did his thing as well, almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Keenan Allen is unfortunately ruled out of this game.
Correct.
So here comes the question, Mac. What to do with Mike Williams?
I know.
Mike Williams had a terrible game 1, and we expected high things. Everyone expected high things and big things out of Mike Williams. He was a top wide receiver last year. I think he finished. What did he finish last year?
He was a top 10 wide receiver.
Top 10 wide receiver. The big games, yes, he had some disappearing acts, but that's Mike Williams for you. 6'4", 218 should be the clear-cut wide receiver 1 for an elite quarterback. What are you doing? What are you expecting out of Mike Williams tomorrow?
This is just one of those things where it's like, how do they not get the ball to Mike Williams after paying him a $60 million contract? It really doesn't make any sense. But like Keenan Allen went down. He was dominating in the game. He had 4 catches for 66 yards, like right out of the rip. No one could guard him. And then he left the field, and then Justin Herbert just spread the ball out. Like he just pushed it all around the field. 4 targets to Josh Palmer, 4 targets to DeAndre Carter, 4 to Gerald Everett. It was just here, there, and everywhere. I think he had 9 pass catchers throughout the game, and Mike Williams just 2 for 4. He didn't command the target share that I thought he would, and that's concerning considering Keenan Allen was not one to take away from his workload. I think that changes in a high scoring game, a 54-point over under with how many points are the Chiefs expected to, or sorry, the Chargers expected to score? What do you say, 54? So 27 middle. Right? So they're expected to score about 25 points. I would expect Mike Williams gets busy.
Yeah.
The expected score is 29-25.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
How high would you have him ranked this week? Is he a must start for people watching? Like, if you have an Amon-Ra St. Brown versus Washington, are you starting Mike Williams over him?
I would start him over Amon-Ra, yes.
Cortland Sutton versus Houston?
No.
You'd prefer, you're still buying that Cortland Sutton train, even though he didn't have a great game against Seattle?
No, he didn't. But again, Mike Williams, like you lost a week potentially because of Mike Williams.
Yeah, but I mean, this week going forward should be different, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely should be different. I'm diving into the metrics for Mike Williams too, and it's just not what you would expect to see out of this caliber of wide receiver.
So if he has a big game tomorrow on Thursday Night Football, which we're expecting, is this now a sell for Mike Williams because you seem to be just out on him going forward, even if he is the wide receiver one for the schedule looks great. KC, Jacksonville, Houston, Cleveland. Like the schedule looks phenomenal here. We're not sure how long Keenan Allen's going to be out. Or should you just now elevate him to that wide receiver one role, which we know he's capable of doing?
Yeah, I wouldn't blame somebody if they had other options to play over Mike Williams, but the likelihood is that you drafted him to be your wide receiver one or wide receiver two. And, after one poor game, it's not like we should shy away. This is kind of what you took on with Mike Williams when you drafted him. He's a boom bust player. To see him only have a 12.5% target share after week one, not great. To see him only run 29 routes, not great. I would expect a lot more from a receiver of this caliber. The only thing that he's top 10 in is drops, which is like not what you would want to see. Anyways, I'm going to forget this game happened. I'm going to see what happens in a really, hopefully close divisional matchup with the Chiefs, and we're just going to give him a pass. I'm kind of doing the same thing with Allen Robinson because I looked at the footage last week, and Allen Robinson was wide open all over the field, and Matthew Stafford, for whatever reason, neglected to get him the football. Maybe the timing's not right. Maybe he just has, heart-shaped eyes for Cooper Kupp. I don't know what the thing is, but what I did see,
he definitely does.
Yeah, for sure he does. But Allen Robinson did his job. He got open, he beat coverage, he made blocks downfield. Like he did the dirty work. He did what he should have done to get the ball, and he just didn't get it. So A-Rob I'm starting, and Mike Williams I'm starting too. I think sometimes we just have to give a pass.
Yeah, Allen Robinson's he's a tough one, man. He's one of those guys, like, if he does not play well against Atlanta, there's going to be a lot of questions about him and whether he's just dust and whether he'll ever be good again. So, I mean, not to say Mike Williams, those questions won't happen if he has a bad game here with a smash spot, but I think we haven't seen it from Allen Robinson for multiple years now, and there's going to be some serious concerns with him going forward.
Did you roll out did you get to finish the rankings today for this week?
No, I've got
let's try to find the line here as we do it live. So Jefferson, Kupp, Adams, Chase, Samuel, Diggs, AJ Brown, Mike Evans.
Yep, Michael Pittman,
Deebo
Samuel.
I said Deebo.
I'll take Mike Williams over Cortland Sutton.
Okay. So that's close. That's close. What about Tyreek Hill? Is he above those two for you?
I think it's really close. Just the reason being is that both those guys have a really good wide receiver too, funneling targets away. Yeah, there's some love for Palmer and DeAndre Carter, but we know that Mike Williams should, in quotations, just command the majority target, like 35% of the targets. Now, whether that's going to really happen, we don't know, but we know that we have Jalen Waddle pulling targets and Jerry Jeudy, who actually looked really great for Denver, pulling targets away from Cortland Sutton. Right. Cortland Sutton was a ghost for most of that game against Seattle. So I think right around there, they're all very close to me. I think Tyreek Hill I'd probably start ahead of Mike Evans or Mike Williams. Sorry,
Mike Williams.
But then it would be closely followed by Williams.
So as of right now, with the names listed, Mike Williams would be our 12th ranked wide receiver.
Yeah.
Guys that we haven't considered yet: CeeDee Lamb, DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, DK Metcalf, Michael Thomas, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Terry McLaurin,
Yeah.
Gabe Davis off a big game, Marquise Brown. Any of those guys that you would elevate over Mike Williams?
No, none of them. They're at a tier below for sure.
Interesting. Okay.
Like a guy, like, of course, Gabe Davis, really good talent, but obviously still the wide receiver 2 on that team.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin. Jahan Dotson looked great. Terry McLaurin's great, but we also were relying on Carson Wentz at this point. Brandon Cooks is the safest wide receiver in the league, no question. But again, you're still relying on a poor quarterback. DJ Moore, I mean, we could rank DJ Moore a top 12 guy. Still doesn't help him. He seems to always be a fringe.
DJ Moore is the one player I think I would have to put ahead of Mike Williams. He's got a nice matchup against the Giants.
But what has he shown you to make him believe that? Like, he had a bad game. He only had 3 receptions.
He had a much better game than Mike Williams. That's what I'm saying.
Not by a lot. He's got Baker Mayfield throwing the football. I'd rather have. I mean, you have Justin Herbert versus Baker Mayfield. That's a huge discrepancy.
Totally fair. This is also the best quarterback that DJ Moore's ever had. And DJ Moore
so that's up for debate based on that game last week against Cleveland.
Okay. I mean, I think you're being a little unfair with that.
Okay, but I mean, it's a different tier. You'd agree with that?
Of quarterback for sure,
yeah.
But Mike Williams versus DJ Moore. I mean, we're talking about a guy that is a yards after catch marvel, who has continued to produce 1,000 yard seasons on low volume. I mean, he's a big play specialist, just like Mike Williams is. There's the only real difference between DJ Moore and Mike Williams is touchdowns. Mike Williams has dominated the touchdown category. DJ Moore has been historically soft on that category.
Yeah, I mean, you only had 3-4 last year.
I know.
It looks like 2020 it was roughly 4 touchdowns last year.
But the ability to create once the football is in his hands is so pro DJ Moore. So all I'm saying is I think they're a lot closer, and they're really a boom bust type player either way. One is a much better quarterback. One potentially might get a larger target share, but either way, I think they're close in our rankings this week. I think I would put DJ Moore one slot ahead, but I think what we're saying here is right now, Mike Williams would be ranked as our 13th wide receiver on the week on a very rough ranking basis before we finish the weekly rankings. But
yeah, I think that's I like DJ Moore. I like the talent. It's just one of those guys that he hasn't. I just don't have.
He has shown it. He has.
I don't have the confidence in this offense this year, in Baker Mayfield this year, to put him in a top 12 spot, unless he starts really scoring these touchdowns and commanding a big target share in that offense. I'd like him. I really like him. I want to like him more. He's one of the most talented wide receivers. He just he hasn't been a top 12 wide receiver in his career, has he?
DJ Moore?
Yeah.
I believe so.
He's finished top 12?
Let me go ahead and bet that. I mean, dude, last year DJ Moore had 162 targets.
And it amounted to 192 fantasy points in half PPR leagues.
Yeah, let me run back and vet this real quick.
I mean, I guess Mike Williams was 208, so it's pretty close, I guess, but
it honestly, it's holding him back is his lack of touchdowns. So last year he was wide receiver 20, lower than I would have expected. But again, touchdowns are a huge, 22. Yep. So yeah, lower than I would have expected. But 93 receptions,
more of a
1,100 yards.
Really good wide receiver too.
Yeah, really
in the same game on the since we're going to stick with the LAC side, any other wide receiver on this team that you would consider starting between DeAndre Carter and Palmer?
I think if you're in a deeper league, like a 12 to 16 team league, Josh Palmer's probably a decent start with Keenan Allen out. I would also probably play Gerald Everett again. Like I said, if you were like a George Kittle owner and you're not going to
Yeah.
have him back and you went to Gerald Everett week 1, I think you can roll him out week 2 with some confidence as well. Other than that, I don't think there's anybody else that I'd be willing to play.
I mean,
On the
obviously
Chargers
everyone's
side.
starting Austin Eckler.
Yes.
Eckler, is he considered a top 3-4 guy for you right now in PPR leagues, or what's your sentiment on Eckler? Do you have him anywhere this year?
He's actually one of the few players I don't own, but wish I did. But the answer is yes. I do view him as that guy.
Yeah, I think if people are out on Eckler, and I think there could be because he put up single-digit fantasy points this past week, I think you have an opportunity to buy Austin Eckler on the cheap. So maybe go and see what you can get for Eckler. If you have like a Clyde Edwards plus for him, I think that's something you should definitely do.
On the Kansas City side of the ball, you're obviously starting your Pat Mahomes, your Travis Kelce. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a must start for me. This is an interesting thing to talk about. And if you're leaving questions for us in the comments right now, we are going to get to them very, very shortly. Clyde Edwards-Helaire dominated the first quarter. And had this game not gotten out of hand quickly, you probably wouldn't have seen Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, even Ronald Jones until way later in the game. But Pacheco got his first carry midway through the second quarter. Jerick McKinnon was involved. And if you looked at the box scores, you would think that Pacheco dominated the backfield. Definitely not the case. Clyde Edwards-Helaire got in early and often, scored 2 touchdowns. Very, very efficient. If that game was tighter, Clyde Edwards-Helaire would have been one of the best running backs on the week. No questions about it. And I believe he still was.
He was, I think, running back 6 on the week,
he was running back 6, 20.9 fantasy points on only, I think it was 10 touches.
Yeah, which is wild, and you love to see that from Clyde.
Yeah, you do.
I think you do have to roll out Clyde after that big week. I hope this keeps up. If it does, I think this is a very good sell high candidate, and maybe we do a little video about him if that's the case, because I don't know if I'm willing to expect this for the full season from Clyde. I did have high hopes based on what we heard in the offseason, how he just really wasn't right all of last year. He had finally a full offseason to be himself, be explosive, kind of work out, and he's coming in looking really great. Look better than I've probably ever seen him look before. And they need him this year because Tyreek Hill is gone. So I do think it's going to be a mix of Jerick McKinnon. I know Pacheco will get in there, but yeah, I'm in on Clyde right now, and I think he's a must start for your running back 2 spot.
I'm not starting Isaiah Pacheco.
No. And I'm probably not going Jerick McKinnon either. No.
Let's go to the wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster, you are starting?
Yeah, of course I'm going to start him. He did have 2 fumbles, but the fumble metric is more sticky with running backs than wide receivers. Juju's still going to get targets no matter what, regardless of if he fumbles or not. 8 targets. Great for Juju.
8 targets, led the team, 21% target share, 8% in the red zone. It's fantastic. It's exactly what you would want to see.
Yeah, totally. Mecole Hardman's an interesting one. I think he's a very viable flex option. He's kind of running that Tyreek Hill role a little bit for them.
He's kind of forgotten about too with Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Sky Moore coming in. People are just not chatting, and I feel like Mecole Hardman's time in the sun is sort of fading.
You know? I think he should be considered a flex consideration each week, just on the offense. It doesn't feel good, but I think he should be in consideration. I don't know.
I would personally start MVS over Mecole Hardman.
Yep.
Yeah. If I had to choose, Sky Moore is for all I care, you could drop him. Unfortunately, that's where I'm at. I honestly think that Kansas City's gone out to fill their roster with speedy guys that run like sub 4.4s. And this is just another guy that they have thrown into the mix, hoping that he does something. I just think for Kansas City, they're a dime a dozen. We've seen so many guys come in, come out, and not really stick. Cole Hardman kind of being one of them. Never really been viable fantasy football wise. So
yeah, not what
unless Sky Moore really does something to command a workload, it's all smoke and mirrors for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, Valdes-Scantling, he did play 73% of snaps, which is great.
4 targets, 4 receptions.
Yeah.
Marquez Valdes-Scantling over the last couple of years, or since 2019, has been the second most reliable deep target in the league, averaging almost 19 yards per catch. So they paid him to come in and play this role for them and stretch the field like Tyreek Hill used to do. They need that for their offense to succeed. And we didn't really get a chance to see him go downfield. But like we said, this game got so out of hand that there didn't need to be the big play.
Yeah. You know who could use Marquez Valdes-Scantling? The Packers.
The Green Bay Packers.
Anyways,
who do you have winning this game? Chargers or Chiefs?
I'll take the Chargers.
I was going there as well. Unfortunately, the Chargers are 1-5 against the spread, coming off of a loss. Coming off of a favored win? Either way, they're 1-5 in this particular context.
Yeah, and the
Chiefs are 6-1.
They are at home again, I believe. No, it's at Kansas City. So
they are on the road.
Yeah. It's going to be a hostile environment. I mean, the Chargers should be used to playing in those environments, even when they're at home. It's kind of always a way for those LA teams.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Chargers will put up a good fight, and this is going to be a really good game. There's a lot of very good fantasy viable people. Who do you think is going to be the highest scoring? It doesn't matter. Highest scoring player in this game. Is it going to be Eckler or I guess non-quarterback?
I think it's probably between Eckler and Travis Kelce, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Kelce, good call. I like that.
Yeah. All right, let's jump over to the comments. We got Big D David. I traded Joe Mixon for Austin Eckler. Give me your thoughts.
I think you basically moved up in the draft, Big D David. You went from a back end first round pick, early second, to a early first round pick. People are panicking on Eckler for whatever reason. I think you got a great chance to buy. I agree. Joe Mixon's a stud. He's a good running back. It's still somewhat of a lateral trade, right? But I still think you got the better player in that deal.
I tend to agree. I mean, after Mixon's week 1 performance and Eckler's sort of down game, it kind of feels like, Mixon's side's a little bit better. But long term, I would say that Eckler is the better piece. And to trade, now the draft just happened, it's over, we throw that out the window. But to trade somebody who was, a top 5 pick for somebody who was a top 15 pick feels like a nice thing to do just a week removed from drafting. So I agree with you. I would rather prefer the Eckler side. So good job, Big Dave.
Love it.
Love
Stafford or Carr this week?
Stafford or Carr? I got to remind myself very quickly of the matchups. Matthew Stafford does play the Atlanta Falcons. That one's on the top of my brain. Really, really good matchup.
And Carr plays the Cardinals.
A+ matchup.
I kind of like Derek Carr here. I would go Derek Carr.
Wow. Curious as to what reason.
Stafford. I mean, Stafford and the Rams did not look good week 1.
No.
And I think that the Arizona Cardinals defense is also very, very bad. I know
the secondary is horrendous.
Yeah. And just with Adams and all their weapons, and I think that it's going to be, we saw what Mahomes did. I know Patrick Mahomes did to that Arizona defense. So I think it's really close. They're very similar to me.
It's close.
But
I think I tend to agree with you. I would go Derek Carr for the sole reason that typically closer games happen to have more passing volume.
Right.
If we expect the Rams to just run train on the Falcons,
there we go.
We might see a little bit more Darrell Henderson, a little bit more Cam Akers.
So it'll be a shootout in both ways. It's likely a higher over-under. I can bet that. But the Cardinals should be able to score on the Raiders. So which should lead to more passing on both sides. Absolutely.
Correct.
Where the Falcons are going to have a hard time. They could the Rams going to run the crap out of the ball and might not need Stafford. I'm sure he'll get his. I mean, Kupp will always get his, and probably hopefully Allen Robinson as well. But yeah, let's see. The Cardinals Raiders game is a 51.5 over under.
There's no
Whereas
chance. There's no chance the Rams Falcons that high. It's probably like a 46.
You're probably 47. You're very close.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pick 2, James Conner, Nick Chubb, AJ Dillon.
Oh man. So like we're both Godfather, we're both not big James Conner fans in this building.
Again, like James Conner, extremely inefficient and finds his way into the end zone. Had he not, he would have been very, very disappointed.
Yeah, Chubb and AJ Dillon, man. AJ Dillon's, man, I love watching that guy play football. He's
AJ
so
Dillon?
good. Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, he's like the next. Like he's a mix between, like, I used to love watching Chubb play as well. And Derrick Henry, like these guys, these big bodied bruisers. AJ Dillon's that, and he's got some hands. The guy caught some passes. Yeah. He's a guy I just love to own if I have him.
Yeah, like to remind you, like James Conner scored. Oh, how many touchdowns did he score last year? Was it 15 or 18? I can't remember.
It was a lot.
It was a lot, right? His touchdown dependency was so high last week. Yeah, he got into the end zone for you, but he was 10 for 26, and then 5 for 29 through the air. So we're talking about a guy that only yielded you 55 total yards on 15 touches. Very,
18.
very inefficient. Very, very touchdown dependent. I would definitely rather go with the AJ Dillon. And look, the Packers are going to smash the Bears. So that is guaranteed. Mm-hmm. And Nick Chubb still gets all of the work, and the Jets are a nice matchup. So I'm going to go with Chubb and Dillon.
18 touchdowns. You were correct.
18. Okay. I couldn't remember I always get in the back of my head Damian Harris at 15 and James Conner at 18 mixed up.
Well, no, I mean, he had 15 rushing touchdowns.
15 rushing, 18
Funny
total.
enough. Yeah, and 18 total. So you had it.
Numbers get stuck in my brain. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Albert, would you start CEH or Darrell Henderson this week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Clyde.
I would. Yeah, I'd go Clyde as well.
Yep. I would go Clyde. Mike Williams is must start this week. The Godfather has spoken. Start him.
Start him.
Lex, what's going on? Yo, guys. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well as well. Glad you're here. Would you play Juju over Deontay Johnson this week? Very, very good question.
Really good question. You are watching Deontay Johnson and the Steelers play last week was so painful. He got that really good catch late in the game, but I would go Juju this week in a high over-under game. You don't have to worry about Trubisky and Deontay Johnson. You just worry about Patrick Mahomes and Juju. Like, that's what you want to do. Don't worry about it. Start Juju.
When guys are this close, it's like, okay, what are my potential tiebreakers? Game script?
Yep.
Signal callers?
Yep.
The game script for the Chargers Chiefs is the highest point total over-under of the week. Check.
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes or Mitch Trubisky, Pat Mahomes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Juju as well.
Yeah, Deontay I think is like at this point of his career a better wide receiver, but that doesn't matter right now.
I totally agree. It does not.
Yeah.
If Big Ben was still there, totally different.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
Mitch Trubisky does not look to the intermediate or short areas of the field.
Yeah,
he either looks downfield or he runs.
If Big Ben was playing right now, Deontay would get like 15 targets. It's just, but like that just doesn't. It's not going to happen again.
We got Aaron Jones coming off a soft performance going up against here Darrell Henderson, who has a really, really nice matchup. But Aaron Jones and the Green Bay Packers played the Chicago Bears this week, who they had.
Yeah, I'm going Aaron Jones. I saw on Twitter last week that it's like Darrell Henderson's a top 12 running back this week. I'm like, oh, get out of here with that. Stop with that. Aaron Jones is a great bounce back candidate. We did a video on him again. If you haven't checked that out, do that. Yeah, I'm all in on Aaron Jones to have a bounce back. He should be great. You can start both Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon on the same team if you want to.
I'm actually doing so in a dynasty league.
Yep.
Yeah, That's because Chris Godwin, I'm still waiting to come back. That's my usual flex piece, and we're just rolling, man.
Man, he looked
That
so
guy,
good.
that guy has the same question as Jack. Same answer. Aaron Jones over Darrell Henderson.
That guy.
That guy. That guy 867.
Literally that guy.
And that guy 866 was taken, so he had to go 867. What's up, everyone? Pick 3 between Mike Williams, Mike Thomas, AJ Dillon, Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis. Right now, I'm going with Williams, Davis, Thomas, full PPR.
Yeah, I would do the same, boss man. Or
I would not start Michael Thomas. I would go
AJ Dillon instead.
I would go AJ Dillon. I would go Gabe Davis. I would go Mike Williams. I would swap Dillon in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get riding.
The only reason for Michael Thomas, let's not forget 2 touchdowns.
Well, that's it. It's hard to get off the 2 touchdown game from Mike Williams and to go with a quote unquote backup running back in AJ Dillon, but I still believe in him. I mean,
I do. Look, I do too. I totally do. But like, this is a guy who had 8 targets for 57 yards and scored twice.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
You know, like
Michael Thomas. Yeah.
He had a 25% target share, which is great. What we want to see for him. He had a 67% red zone target share. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot. It's just not something that I'm going to chase week over week. I think I'm gonna run it back with Mike Williams. It feels really silly, but that's where we're at.
Yeah,
that's what our rankings say. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know what to think with Mike Williams or Michael Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see it one more time to believe it. I've been fading him. I don't want to regret the fade, but we'll see. I hope he proves me wrong. Good for him.
It doesn't feel good going the other way, but it is what it is. In a competitive 12-man league, my waiver budget is 150. How much do you think I should bid for Curtis Samuel? And I'm slacking receivers like crazy because Allen is out and I went running back heavy. Curtis Samuel, if you missed our waiver video, you can go ahead and check that out. But I said you could spend anywhere from 10 to 15% if you wanted to get Curtis Samuel. I did see him go in 2 of our leagues for 25 plus. The thing with Curtis Samuel, he was involved heavily, 11 targets. He had 4 carries, so 15 total opportunities, and he played 20% less snaps than Terry McLaurin and rookie Jahan Dotson. So if he gets on the field more and they use him in the backfield to sort of supplement Antonio Gibson, I don't see why this couldn't be season-long value. And Carson Wentz looked fantastic. Like, we got to give credit where credit's due. I would spend 15% comfortably. So for you in a 150 budget, you're kind of looking at, well, 10% is 15, half of that. So you're looking at 22.50, like 22 to 23 bucks, I think is what you could spend on Curtis Samuel.
Yeah. I think that'll be competitive. I'm surprised. So I guess he was dropped or your waivers go through late. Either way.
Could be a day behind.
Yeah,
could be tomorrow. Thoughts on Najee moving forward?
Oof, man, he's a guy I don't have any shares of.
Correct.
I tried to get him before the season started, but he was too hard to acquire. Now I think he's a guy that you could get relatively on the cheap. I'm a little bit concerned with his foot. If it was truly a high ankle sprain and they rush him back, that is not good. Like Mac was saying, Jaylen Warren, snag him up. Don't keep an eye. Like if you have a free bench spot, I love adding Jaylen Warren. I got him for cheaper than most of the other guys this week off waivers, and I like it. Like a guy like Kenyon Drake, for example, I'll just get rid of Kenyon Drake and then add Jaylen Warren. I think he's more valuable long term, or has that upside, anyways. I'm a little concerned with Najee Harris. What do you think about Najee?
Yeah, I'm honestly just concerned with the offense, and that's why guys like tertiary pieces like Chase Claypool, I don't. You have no confidence in rostering, no confidence in flexing out there on a weekly basis. Like, I'm just a little bit concerned for the offense as a whole. Mitch Trubisky just doesn't have the passing prowess that I would expect. Like, he's decent for fantasy because he's mobile, but he doesn't help move the chains like you would expect. Najee coming off a game where he only played 59% of the snaps, not great. Only had 10 attempts on the ground, and where he's going to, I think, suffer the most from last year to this year, Big Ben hit him in the flat as his safety valve over and over and over again. And this week only got 2 looks in the passing game. So I think you take away his passing work that he got last year, that he built that reliable floor with, you're not going to get it this year. I'm concerned for Najee. I hope he doesn't come back too soon, but I think playing a little bit banged up against the Patriots, probably not a recipe for success.
Yeah, 94 targets last year. There's no way he comes close to that this year.
No, zero chance.
He's a really good talent. So if you want to bet on talent, guys, like I like it. You know, he could overcome it, kind of like a Saquon type guy if he's fully healthy. But the concern level is starting to grow.
It's definitely grown. I'm glad I traded him in a couple. I package traded him last year for Justin Jefferson in a dynasty league. Feeling quite nice about that right now.
Oh man,
we got Mike. Trade AJ Dillon for Travis Etienne, or is that a bad idea? I don't think it's a bad idea.
No,
I would just rather have AJ Dillon at this point.
It's like getting love Etienne. Mac is a big fan of Etienne as well. I know.
Love him.
You kind of have these 2 elite secondary running backs because what we saw from Robinson, unfortunately, that he led that backfield. And similarly with AJ Dillon, where I expect, and I think everyone still expects, Aaron Jones to lead the backfield. But AJ Dillon will be used frequently, and same with Travis Etienne. He dropped a touchdown. I said this in my video. He reminds me a lot of a guy like DeAndre Swift, the way he's able to catch the ball, the way he's explosive. It's very lateral of a trade. So if you do just prefer Travis Etienne for whatever reason, fine. But AJ Dillon is going to be that guy that we love to own as well, and I still think he's on a better offense, despite what the Packers showed week 1 versus the Vikings. But I would just stick with AJ Dillon. You have a great piece there, and he has more upside if Aaron Jones goes down. So if Jones goes down, he's a top 5 back. If James Robinson goes down, Etienne is still he's probably still running back 15, right?
Well, that's the thing is I do see Travis Etienne taking over more and more of the rushing work as the year goes on. He's to me always going to be the passing back. So for fantasy football and PPR leagues, he has more value. But AJ Dillon is really working alongside Aaron Jones, like Kareem Hunt works alongside Nick Chubb. They kind of have their own roles carved out into the offense. And the Green Bay Packers offense, they play every single week 1 like it's a preseason game. It makes no sense to me. And sometimes they come out with a win, but they got their asses handed to them by the Minnesota Vikings, who look great, by the way. But I'm at this point in time, I want AJ Dillon ahead of Travis Etienne. I think his role is more secure, and the Green Bay Packers are a superior offense to the Jags. So I'm rolling ahead with AJ Dillon.
Do you prefer Kittle or Pitts? And right now, I am taking Pitts every single time. We are concerned as a podcast about George Kittle and that injury, not to mention his quarterback. I do think that Trey Lance is a very good fantasy quarterback, but we're not sure how much he's going to feed George Kittle. I did a video on Pitts this week. Mac helped me out with some stats. Pitts is a matchup nightmare. I know Kittle is too, but he's hurt. So take Pitts. That's who we prefer. He's basically a wide receiver, a top end wide receiver in a tight end's role. And big. I try to buy Pitts wherever you can.
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate some of the stats that we talked about.
Yep.
On paper, it looked like Drake London just dominated Kyle Pitts from a fantasy standpoint. Kyle Pitts ran 28 routes, 7 targets. That's a 23% target share for 93 air yards. Obviously, a lot of that was unrealized, but 93 air yards. Drake London, 30 routes, just 2 more, 7 targets, exactly the same. 23% target share, exactly the same. 88 air yards, slightly less than Kyle Pitts. So when you look at them in terms of opportunity, they saw virtually an identical workload. Drake London was able to do more with what he got, but we are not concerned. The other thing is where they're actually lining up Kyle Pitts. I don't know if you have that in front of you, Lando, but I can try my best to reiterate it off the top of my head.
Yeah, so he is lined up outside quite a bit. Let me just see.
Yeah, if
60% of the time he lined up
inline.
outside the tight end.
Yep.
And then inline
he had like 15 slot snaps. He had
right.
18 outside, 2 in the backfield. Basically, they lined him up all over the field, but where they're using him most, he's going to draw linebackers instead of corners. They used him as a wide receiver last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's going to be truly a tight end, but drawing a mismatch. There's not too many linebackers in the league that could guard Kyle Pitts at his size and speed. So mismatches are going to be huge for him. It's really going to come down to can Marcus Mariota deliver.
The other tight end that lined up outside quite a bit was a guy, Darren Waller. So although Darren Waller didn't have a big game, he is also a very good buy candidate as well. That presents a ton of mismatches.
Tyler Higbee or Kyle Pitts? Higbee's got the Falcons. Pitt has the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons look like a really good matchup, but you have to go with the other side of the football and Kyle Pitts. You just have to. On the back of my mind, I hope that Kyle Pitts doesn't have a big game because I don't have him anywhere and I want to acquire him. But I also see a world where he just lights the world on fire and the Rams get blown up.
Yeah, this is going to be the game where Cam Akers just comes out and has a 90% snap share and wipes the board clean, and you're going to be like, "What just happened?" I can just see it now, man.
Would be phenomenal.
Well, appreciate you guys coming in. If you guys have any last minute questions, pop them in now. If not, we're going to get going here. Thursday Night Football. The last 2 days have felt really weird without football, so I'm excited for tomorrow. Going to be a lot of fun. We got a great great game. We're seeing my guy, Lando. Lando is the man. We got a great game ahead of us. Appreciate you guys watching the channel, liking the videos, leaving your comments, subscribing. You guys make this a lot of fun. So, Landon, I appreciate you. Keep your eyes out for some reaction videos to the Thursday night game. And we'll see you guys Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 90 minutes before kickoff, wherever you are. We'll be going live to handle your start set questions. We don't miss one. 3 years running, haven't missed a question. And we'll keep that promise to you on Sunday. So best of luck in the Thursday nighter to kick off your week 2, and we'll see you Sunday.